3-1 to Naylor. A swing and a drive! Deep right field! Away back! Gone!
Well guys, I don't think it's possible to say the run the Guardians have been on is a fluke anymore. They've started to pull away with the best record in the league, they took a series against the Phillies, they are massacring the Baltimore Orioles, and they really have just played some good baseball against many of the teams they could potentially face in the playoffs. Now that the trade deadline is officially over and we know what this team is going to be for the rest of the season, I just want to talk about everything that has transpired recently and also what the realistic expectations are for this team in the postseason. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so starting off, let's recap the recent massive win over the Baltimore Orioles. Ben Lively took the mound in this one. He has been one of Cleveland's most solid and consistent pitchers all year with a just above 3 ERA. And without him, I honestly don't know where this team would be. And I don't know who could have expected him to be this good back at the beginning of the season. Anyways, the Orioles started off the scoring by putting a run on the board in the top of the first inning, starting off with a Colton Cowser double and then a Gunnar Henderson double. But the guards responded super quick with a Stephen Kwan leadoff single, a Lane Thomas double into the corner, and then Jose Ramirez hit a sac fly, and Naylor drove Thomas in. So the guards took a 2-1 lead and pretty much never looked back. In the bottom of the third, the guards showed a bit of 2-out magic with a Jose Ramirez double, then Naylor patiently worked a count and walked, and on a 3-2 count, with the runners on the move, David Fry got a hold-of-one into the bleachers to make it a 5-1 game. This felt like a much needed blast for Fry. He hasn't necessarily been struggling, but it's been a while since he hit a ball like that, and I'm sure it felt good. The Orioles did get a run back in the top of the fourth with an Anthony Santander home run down the right field line. He has just been on an absolute tear as of late, but then in the 7th, Jose Ramirez blew the game open with a blast to right after a Lane Thomas double, who had himself a great day. And then later on in the same inning, with Josh and Tyler Freeman on base, Bo Naylor stayed patient and got a pitch he liked and hit it to the moon to make the game 10-2, which was pretty crazy to see, because the Guardians aren't respected by the media and they make it seem like the Orioles are the greatest team and have the greatest young players to ever exist. I honestly wonder just how many times Cleveland will have to beat this team to move above them in the power rankings. Even if you just look at the World Series odds, Cleveland is like not even in the top 5 with the best record in the league, and they just beat up on most of the teams in front of them. But I do understand that they are young, and in years past, they've especially struggled with the Yankees in the playoffs. But this is a different year, and I think some of the pitchers are finally starting to get in a groove, and the bullpen has been lights out all season. And they've been scoring a lot more runs than we've seen them score in a while. And they also added a guy in Lane Thomas who I really like, and I will talk about him later. But yeah, the media should really start respecting what this team is accomplishing, and like I said, they are young. And if you can get a young team to believe, then literally anything is possible. And Cleveland is of course long overdue to finally win a World Series. But right now, it's just best to take it all in and enjoy what this team is doing. And for as good as they've been, and as fun as they've been to watch, the selfish part of me is already thinking about what next year will be like, running it back with the same guys, and then potentially getting a healthy Bieber back if he is re-signed, and then having the #1 overall pick who just hit a grand slam in Columbus for his first career home run. The team is going to be absolutely nasty. But we really should just focus on this year, and if the guards can win 2 out of the next 3 against the O's, I think the league is really going to have to start paying attention. No, there is no wind tunnels, the team is not lucky, they haven't always had things go their way, all the fake and hilarious narratives you may have seen on Twitter are not true. This team is legit, and they have arrived. And since nobody is paying attention, they truly will sneak up on you if you don't take them serious. I mean, we're already seeing it happen right now. And I truly do believe that anyone could win it all this year. There hasn't been one specific team that has been dominant enough to stand out. And honestly, if there was one, you could make a case that it's been the Guardians. Anyways, moving on, now I want to talk about the trade deadline. And first off, I need to show you this video by Chris Clemmer.
So the Guardians just traded for Alex Cobb. Look, it's just a deal, that's fine. Alex Cobb's a nice pitcher, it's great. My issue is, this is the only move the Guardians are going to make the rest of the way. I know they went and got Lane Thomas, great, but this is a team that needs pitching. They have a starting rotation that's not very good. They had Shane Bieber, obviously got hurt. They're still winning despite all that. They're doing a great job, but they're not truly a World Series contender. Getting Alex Cobb does nothing. It's a cheap, pathetic move by the owner, Larry Dolan, and this is what he does. He gets all that revenue sharing money and he keeps it. And this is why Cleveland will never truly contend for a World Series because the ownership lets them down. Despite a great farm system and a really strong organization, they constantly fall back. If you're a Guardians fan, can you be happy about Alex Cobb? Sure, he's fine. Whatever, he's a fine pitcher. But the real shame is they're not going and getting a Blake Snell because they won't pay the money. And, you know, as much as I knock the Orioles for getting Eflin, the Guardians won't even go get Zach Eflin. This is awful. To get Alex Cobb for 2 more months and to pay $4 million and think you're doing something, that's a joke.
At first I agreed with him, but now I completely disagree as I rethought things. It is disappointing that the Dolans won't spend any money. There's really no excuse for it. But it was definitely a seller's market, and I think Lane Thomas was a great addition and was exactly what this team needed. And who knows what Alex Cobb could be. But even more than that, a thing that nobody thinks about is the chemistry in the locker room. If the whole team is happy and everything is working right now, what do you think could happen if the front office brought in someone that is the same caliber of a player as a guy like Josh Naylor, Quan, or David Fry, but is getting paid 5 times more for his services? I just think that could create some unneeded tension that didn't need to be there. Now, is it really that serious? Probably not, but it's just something to think about. Things are always a lot more complicated than they may seem. You can't always just see a guy you like and grab him off the market like the Dodgers. And how is doing that worked for them? Yeah, they've been the laughingstock of the league for underperforming with a team that costs over $1 billion. But yeah, for Lane Thomas, I think he's a great player, and we saw his fit today hitting 2 doubles to get in scoring position for Jose Ramirez, which gave him some RBI opportunities. And Lane Thomas really respects Jose. Andre Knott was saying that he instantly asked when he came over to Cleveland if he was allowed to steal in front of him. He seems like a nice guy, he's got all the tools, he can hit, he's fast, so he could steal bases and cover ground in the outfield. I love the addition. And then for Alex Cobb, he is older and is coming off an injury, but he was an all-star just a few years ago, and it was kind of a why not type of move. I'm not sure how true this is or not, but I heard the Tigers were asking for crazy prices like Josh Naylor for some of their pitching. So it wasn't the time to get a good pitcher, and the Dolans knew that, so they didn't. It seemed like after the All-Star break that this team could be on the struggle bus for the rest of the way, but they quickly turned things around, showing their ability to fight through adversity, and I think one specific player you can highlight for this is Austin Hedges. Every time I talk about this guy, I always instantly get a few comments bashing me, but for real, he is the ultimate locker room guy, and all I really have to say is what was Cleveland's record 2 years ago with him on the team, what was it last year, and now what is it with him back? He really is a great leader off the field. And speaking of leader, Jose Ramirez is starting to get hot. And when he's hot, truly nobody can stop him. You know he's seeing the ball well when he's taking the high pitches and is waiting for the one he likes. Sometimes he will start to press, that's the one knock on him. But outside of that, I really do believe he's a top 5 player in all of baseball, and today he hit another 2-run shot that rocketed into the stands. And another thing I want to talk about is the Naylor Bros, because they are starting to heat up. Josh was struggling for a while there, but really, the whole team was. But now Naylor is hitting the ball all over the field, and I think Bo has been a big surprise to everyone. Many people in the organization viewed him as a 4A player, one that was a bit too good for the minor leagues, but wasn't good enough for the majors. And yes, his batting average is around 200, but for what his role is, he's been playing very well. And he's fallen in love with hitting those 3-run home runs, and every time he gets a hold of one, it's so fun to watch his brother's reaction. All in all, this team is just so much fun to watch right now. And are they actually World Series contenders? I would say yes, because it seems like everyone believes, but ultimately, it's really all going to come down to starting pitching. Tanner, Ben, and Gavin are all going to have to go 6+ innings, and the offense is going to have to stay cooking. And I really do think securing home field advantage throughout the playoffs is going to be huge, because this team has been so good all year at Progressive Field. That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.